If you've been watching Matt's off-road recovery, you've seen her, the young woman who handles recoveries like she's been doing it for decades. But here's what most people don't know. Before Katelynn Boren ever stepped foot in Matt's shop, she was already a legend in the rock-crawling world, destroying competitors twice her age and walking away from crashes that would end most people's careers. Her journey from teenage prodigy to essential MORR team member is filled with jaw-dropping moments, near-tragic incidents, and a level of skill that defies her age. This is the real story nobody's telling you. Picture this: a 14-year-old girl from Hurricane, Utah, lining up against seasoned adult men in one of the most demanding motorsports on the planet. That's exactly what Katelynn Boren did, and she didn't just participate, she dominated. Rock crawling isn't your average weekend hobby. Competitors have exactly 10 minutes to navigate specialized vehicles through brutal terrain, passing through coned gates while battling cliffs, ledges, and rock formations that would make most people turn back. One mistake means penalties. One wrong move means your rig is toast. Katelynn didn't care about any of that. Teaming up with her father Kevin as her spotter, the duo became known as Crazy K's and immediately started turning heads. In her first competitive season, she finished first in 4 out of 6 events and second in the other 2. Let that sink in. This teenager was consistently beating drivers with decades of experience. She didn't just qualify for nationals, she swept both the Western and Eastern Series championships. What made her different wasn't just raw talent. It was her ability to stay ice-cold under pressure, communicate flawlessly with her dad, and execute maneuvers that required precision most adults couldn't match. The off-road community had never seen anything like it. Sponsors started calling: Maxxis Tires, Warren Industries, Yukon Gear. Major brands wanted their names on her rig because they knew she was the real deal. But nobody knew what was coming next. September 2021. Katelynn was mid-competition, navigating an off-camber obstacle when physics took over in the worst possible way. The rear of her XJ Jeep dropped into a hole and unloaded. What happened next would be burned into everyone's memory. The Jeep went into a full rotation roll, then cartwheeled off a 20-foot cliff. Some reports say it was closer to 30 feet. Either way, the vehicle was airborne, tumbling, and heading straight down. The passenger rear roof collapsed on impact, crushing the unibody and cage. The force pushed Katelynn into her seat like a rocket launch. Spectators went silent. Her parents rushed over, hearts pounding, expecting the absolute worst. When they reached the wreckage, Katelynn was sore in her neck but otherwise fine. She climbed out, looked around at the destroyed XJ, and said something that perfectly captured who she is. Someone better have gotten that on video. That's not bravado. That's the mindset of someone who understands the sport at its core. She knew the crash would be analyzed, studied, and talked about, and she was right. The incident became legendary in rock-crawling circles, not because of the destruction, but because she walked away and kept competing. Most people would have quit after something like that. Most parents would have pulled their kids from the sport immediately. Instead, the Borens upgraded to a custom JHF goat-built buggy and came back stronger. The crash didn't end Katelynn's career, it proved she was built different. Hurricane, Utah isn't a big place, and the off-road community there is even smaller. Everyone knows everyone, especially when you're talking about elite-level competitors and recovery specialists. Matt Wetzel had been running his recovery operation for years, but he was also deeply connected to the rock-crawling scene. That's where worlds collided. Matt didn't just stumble across Katelynn on YouTube or social media. He met her and Kevin at actual rock-crawling competitions, the same brutal events where she was making grown men look amateur. He watched her drive. He saw how she handled pressure, how she communicated with her spotter, and how she approached obstacles that would break most people mentally before they even tried physically. Matt recognized something critical. Those skills translated directly to recovery work. Think about it. Rock crawling and off-road recovery require the exact same core abilities: reading terrain, understanding vehicle dynamics, staying calm when things go sideways, and having the mechanical knowledge to know what your rig can and can't handle. Katelynn had already logged countless hours in the most extreme conditions possible. She'd driven in competitions across multiple states, spent over 90 hours on the road in a single year just traveling to events, and had more real-world off-road experience than people 3 times her age. When Matt approached her about joining the team, it wasn't charity or a publicity stunt. It was a strategic move. He needed someone with legitimate skills, and Katelynn had proven herself in the hardest way possible. The connection was organic, rooted in mutual respect within the tight-knit hurricane off-road scene. October 2023 marked a turning point. Katelynn officially joined Matt's off-road recovery, but not in the role most people would expect. Her title? Content creator. That might sound like a social media gig to outsiders, but in the MORR world, it means something completely different. She wasn't just posting clips on Instagram. She was actively participating in recoveries, contributing her competitive driving expertise, and helping document the insane situations Matt's team encounters daily. Here's what makes her role unique. She's the youngest team member with professional-level skills that most of the crew will never have. While other team members learned recovery work through towing and shop experience, Katelynn came in with years of high-stakes competition driving. She understands vehicle articulation, weight transfer, and momentum in ways that only come from pushing machines to their absolute limits in timed competitions. That knowledge is invaluable when you're trying to extract a stuck truck from an impossible position on a cliffside trail. Her presence also brought something else to the table: representation. Off-road recovery is overwhelmingly male-dominated, and having a young woman who can genuinely hang with the crew sends a message. She's not there for optics. She's there because she earned it through years of destroying competition courses and proving she belongs in any vehicle, on any terrain, against anyone. The transition from competitor to recovery specialist wasn't a downgrade. It was an evolution. She took everything she learned in rock crawling and applied it to real-world scenarios where the stakes are even higher and the conditions are even less predictable. If you've been following Katelynn closely, you might have noticed something strange in 2024. Competition reports started surfacing without her name. The Delta Classic Rock Crawl came around, and her father Kevin mentioned that Katelynn decided to not come this year. No explanation, no drama, just absence. The rock crawling community noticed immediately, and so did MORR fans. Online speculation exploded. TikTok and YouTube comment sections filled with people asking the same questions. What happened to Katelynn? Did she quit competing? Is she focusing full-time on Matt's recovery work? Did something go wrong? The searches started piling up. Katelynn Matt's off-road recovery update. Where is Katelynn Boren? What happened to Katelynn from MORR? The mystery fueled dozens of videos from other creators trying to piece together the story. Here's what we know for sure. She's still involved with Matt's team based on her LinkedIn profile, showing continuous work through 2024 and into 2025. She's still active on social media with her dad's Crazy K's account. But the competitive rock crawling that defined her teenage years? That seems to be on pause, possibly permanently. Some speculate she's prioritizing the MORR work because it offers more stability and exposure. Others think she's simply taking a break after years of intense competition. What's interesting is how protective both communities have been about her privacy. Nobody's pushing for answers, which suggests this was her choice and people respect it. But the questions remain, and the absence of a clear explanation only makes her story more intriguing. Strip away the YouTube fame and social media presence, and you're left with one undeniable fact. Katelynn brings skills to Matt's operation that nobody else on the team has. This isn't about popularity or adding a fresh face to videos. It's about capability. When you've spent years navigating rock courses that would destroy most rigs, you develop an instinct for terrain that can't be taught in a shop. Every recovery situation Matt's team encounters is essentially a puzzle. How do you get this vehicle out of this position without causing more damage or putting anyone at risk? Katelynn approaches these problems with the same mindset she used in competitions. Assess the terrain, understand the physics, communicate clearly, and execute with precision. Those aren't skills you pick up watching YouTube tutorials. They come from real-world experience under pressure. There's also the representation factor that can't be ignored. Young women watching more our videos see Katelynn handling recoveries alongside the guys and realize this world isn't closed off to them. She's not playing a supporting role or just operating cameras. She's actively involved in the work, bringing expertise that earns respect. That matters in an industry that's been male-dominated since forever. But beyond gender or age, what makes Katelynn essential is the bridge she represents. She connects the competitive rock-crawling world with the recovery world, bringing credibility to both. When Matt's team shows up to a difficult recovery, having someone with her competition pedigree on the crew sends a message. We know what we're doing because we've done harder. Katelynn Boren's story isn't finished. It's still being written. From crushing competitions at 14 to surviving a cliff-tumbling crash that totaled her rig, from dominating both Eastern and Western rock crawling series to joining one of YouTube's most popular off-road recovery channels, her journey defies easy categorization. She's not just the girl on Matt's team or that young rock crawler. She's someone who's consistently proven that skill, determination, and guts matter more than age or expectations. The questions surrounding her recent absence from competition only add another layer to her mystique. Is she done with rock crawling forever, or is this just a chapter focused on recovery work and content creation? Will she return to competition with even more experience under her belt? Nobody knows for sure, and maybe that's fitting for someone who's never followed a predictable path. What we do know is that Katelynn represents something bigger than herself. She's proof that young people can compete at elite levels if given the opportunity and support. She's evidence that women belong in every corner of the off-road world, not as tokens, but as legitimate contributors with real skills. And she's a reminder that the most interesting stories often belong to the people working hard behind the scenes, not seeking attention, but earning respect through what they do. Whether she's navigating a competition course or assisting on a dangerous recovery, Katelynn Boren has already secured her place in off-road history. Everything from here is just adding to the legend.